Welcome back to the Mental Playbook podcast. I'm here with the one and only Jamia Fields, MBA and PhD student, professional soccer player, a forward and defender, founder of Vintyj Kreations and Stoic Los Angeles. Hi, Jamia. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I know one of the things we were talking about is passion projects and how important those can be, especially when sometimes for people, sports can really become their identity. So finding things outside of that is really important too. So we'll kind of dive into that fashion
Yep.
passion.
Yep.
Before we kind of go into that, can you share a bit about yourself and your soccer journey?
Yeah. So I grew up in Southern California into a big sports family. So I didn't, when I was younger, I was like in all the sports, kind of some
Yeah.
of the random ones. I did a little bit of like BMX racing.
Wow.
I've always done horseback riding and snowboarding. So, but soccer and tennis kind of stuck. Stopped playing tennis in high school. But yeah, soccer has always been the sport for me. And I have a brother too who motivated me. He played in the minor leagues and a little bit in the majors. So that was nice having a brother making it kind of competitive. But yeah, I grew up in Southern California and then went across the country to Florida State for college.
Wow. So when did you first realize soccer would become more than just a sport for you? Because you played a bunch of other sports. So how did soccer really stand out?
I think honestly, I think it was the people, like having like the teammates, and I was just like, I just love people that started at a young age. And tennis was kind of like a lonelier sport. And the other sports were just like kind of like cross training and
Yeah.
staying fit and stuff like that. But soccer just stuck. I think I loved the people. I loved just the game in general. It was so fun and active, and it kind of caught on.
And you mentioned your brother. Was he or someone else, um, someone who inspired you to really pursue soccer at such a high level?
Yeah, definitely. My brother was my inspiration, or is currently my inspiration as well. Just yeah, with sports in general, he always pushed me. I always saw him like running hills and
Yeah.
doing push-ups before bed, and I was like, wait, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. I want to be strong. I want to always compete with him. And we had always had like little games growing up, whether it be like the slug bug, like on the freeway, like the I don't know,
Yeah.
the yeah, so like we would count points with that, but with
Yeah.
everything we were always competitive. So
Oh, yeah, I have a younger brother. He's 12, so we're like 7 years apart. But yeah, he's,
oh.
into a bunch of different sports and I think he really does inspire me as well. We love to play the license game. Have you done that?
Oh, I think I have. You're just looking for a certain thing on the
Yeah,
on
so
the
we just
license
look
plate?
for the different states of the
Yep.
licenses or the
Yep.
countries. That's been
Yep.
really fun for us.
I love it.
So what prompted you to go to Florida State over other universities, and how is that transition, especially from being in California?
Yeah, so there's a lot of great universities in California. As you know, you go to one of them, so that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I had family members that went to schools in California, and I am a homebody, so I
Yeah.
definitely was looking at schools in California, but going to Florida State, going on my visits, I always recommend going on all your visits because you just never know if you will end up liking something else in a different environment. And that's what happened at Florida State. I loved it. And even though it's across the country, I committed there and I ended up going there and playing there. And I absolutely love my experience.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, so what advice do you have for people who are exploring that route of wanting to commit to a college? What are some things they should kind of look out for?
Yeah, I just think like because I'm very goal oriented, as a lot of us are, as we know. But I think so. I would definitely list things that I would like and didn't like about certain schools, but I didn't just set my mind to something if I didn't know. So like, yeah, I wanted to stay in California, but I stayed open-minded. So that's my advice. Stay open-minded because I went to Florida State and I went on my visit. I really liked everybody on the team. I loved the facilities. I loved what the coach had in mind for the next couple years. And yeah, I stayed open-minded and ended up going there. And I honestly got to experience things I didn't know I needed. So at the time, if I didn't stay open-minded, I probably wouldn't have gotten those different experiences. So
Yeah. I'm glad you share that because I do think not just for athletes, but everyone in general, it does during that, senior year of high school time, it does get competitive with like, oh,
yeah,
this is my dream school, and it's definitely an experience. So I love that you said staying open-minded because I think for me that was I had no clue where I was gonna go, and I tried to keep it that way where I'm like,
right.
want to be open, even though I'm a homebody, like
Yeah,
it's hard.
it
Uh,
is hard.
so definitely, yeah, staying open-minded. I love that.
Yeah.
So you scored the game-winning goal to help Florida State win a national championship, which
Mm,
is like beyond incredible. That is so cool. What
thank
do you
you.
remember most about that moment specifically?
I love talking about this moment, not only because we won and I scored. It was just because all the years before that and just like the decision to go there, being part of it, and it that we hadn't won before. We had gone to different Final Fours actually every year. And so my senior year, it was like, of course I wanted to win, but I just didn't know how it was gonna go. I knew we could definitely do it. We had a talented team. But honestly, that moment, I just feel so thankful about it
Yeah.
because it's just something you can always reminisce on. I think um, it it definitely propelled me into my professional career as well. But I don't know. I just feel like that's something no one can ever take away from you. Just
Yeah.
winning the national championship and having those experiences with your team. And yeah, one of my favorite soccer core memories for sure.
Yeah. And like you said, it's like you're growing and building all this time during your college years, and it's like finally you like really,
Yeah.
you achieve something big. And I mean, I'm sure you have many other achievements, but it is like a wow moment.
Yep. And a senior year too. It was
Yeah.
just too good to be true. And I was like, oh, that happened though.
Like
And
what
it
just
it was amazing.
happened?
I know. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah.
What are some other lessons from your college experience that have stayed with you throughout your athletic and also just entrepreneurial career?
Yeah. So within college, I just always tried to, I think that's where my resilience started. I had to go all the way across the country being a homebody. So right there, just I stepped outside of my comfort zone and I had to adapt to what was around me. Growing up, honestly, in a predominantly white area for high school, etc., and then going to Tallahassee, it was way more diverse. And that was also, I had to adapt to that. But it was what I needed and it was great. But just different environment changes. And that can also even those aren't all on the field, but environment changes around you. I just had to adapt because I wanted to have a good performance. I wanted to make sure I was um, doing well in school, obviously, and so just adapting, taking the challenges literally head on, and just feeling like I was supposed to be there and taking advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, what you just said, feeling like you're supposed to be there, I think that's
Mm,
huge. And I think that's something a lot of people can take away, especially when you're going through different transitions and changes, is that you are meant to be there.
mm,
And, some people can make you feel a different way, but it's really like within you that you need
yeah,
to focus on yourself and really kind of believe that. And I think that's something even for me that I'm trying to work on with myself and with whatever, room that I'm in. I think that's
yeah,
like a big mindset shift.
yeah, for sure.
And so you've also played for several clubs and also internationally, which is definitely a big transition. How
Hmm.
have those experiences shaped you?
So I kind of, when you talk about your journey, you realize how much it ties together. So going across country and being the homebody, right, prepared me for what I was about to experience in my pro career, being all over the place and, but wouldn't trade it for the world. I ended up starting my pro career off I was drafted to Boston, ended up signing in New York. And then I went back to Florida, which was really cool. There was an expansion draft ended up playing for the Pride for 2 years. Then that's when I ended up going to Norway.
Mhm.
Um, then I came back to Houston for 3 years. Really cool because I have family in Houston.
Oh,
So I loved coming back home to family. Then to I lose track because that's so funny. So then Houston, then I was with the Spirit for a short amount of time, then Iceland and the Philippines. So all over the place, but amazing experiences.
do you have a favorite?
A favorite? Definitely the highlights where I remember being, I mean, every year kind of had like a highlighted moment, but being back in Florida after going to Florida State
Mhm.
was amazing. And then being back in the States with Houston because I had family there, like I mentioned. But then honestly, I never thought I would go and play in the Philippines.
Yeah.
It was it was like a short for a tournament. So it was a short amount of time, but it was just amazing. I feel like I didn't know much about the Philippines.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, it was an interesting experience and it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to kind of, I guess, learn about those different cultures and, see the differences from where you come from as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, how have you navigated finding who you are outside of soccer? I think I mentioned identity and how it is easy to tie
Mm,
your passions or,
mm.
your job, your sport to your identity. So, how have you really explored outside of that?
Yeah, so within this my career in general, I've always tried to make sure that I just explored my other passions. I remember specifically in 2016, I always locked in on soccer, right? But you actually had so much free time
Hmm.
playing professionally. Like I've always had so much time. Like you train in the morning or whatever your schedule is for your team, and then you have the rest of the day to do whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I have other, like I could do other things. So I remember specifically seeing like an ad for, or just like researching online, and it was like a Foot Locker mod, like I could be a Foot Locker model. So then I started building like my portfolio for that. I had never done modeling before, but started taking photos, doing everything that they asked. I tapped into my social media heavily with just like personal branding and just figuring out what I wanted to put on my social media, not just of like what I'm doing in my day to day, but really just like a personal brand and like what I wanted to put out there. What are my interests, right? So I really started that back in 2016. And then along the way, 2021, I started Stoic Los Angeles as, like we were talking about, a passion project and a business, but it was a passion for me because I noticed that within professional sports, I always have felt that I had to walk a very fine line. Like if you step outside of that line, you don't know what's gonna happen. You could be cut, you just don't know what's gonna happen. So I took what I could control, which was creating. I created that business. I would put each collection has a meaning and a powerful meaning, usually what was something I'm going through or have gone through in the past. And the clothes kind of became a canvas for me. And so that became a creative outlet for me in 2021. And it's always ongoing and something that's special to me for sure.
Yeah, so with Stoic Los Angeles, you have these really powerful names, and I think one of my favorites is what would the world be without your story?
Mm,
And that just really struck me because it's like
mm,
if you ask yourself that, like truly, what would it be? Like you're giving to your community and you're to yourself as well. And I think that's really important that you have a lot of meaning behind these pieces. It's not
yeah.
just a passion project, it's something that truly does make a difference in the world.
Mm.
And so what do these pieces and names mean to you truly?
Yeah. So, what would the world be without your story? Was another one of my favorites as well. So I'm happy you said that. But each collection, and I have a blog post tied to each one of them as well. So it's just what I think about often or what I reflect on, right? Like what do I want what is my journey to me, and how do I want to give a message to the world? And like with Endure Beyond Your Control, I mean, that's something I've had to do a lot in my career, and I that's a message I want to put out there. I want people to think about like whatever you're going through, whatever industry you're in, yeah, like you're gonna have to endure. And then at times you're gonna want to give up, and you're gonna have to think like, what would the world be without my story? And then I'm gonna have to keep pushing on. So those are kind of like the messages that I just think that I mean I definitely used throughout my career, and I wanted to kind of keep that on the mind of people in the world and share that through something that a lot of people love or just need, which is
Yeah.
clothes and fashion.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, and now you have Vintage Creations. What inspired you to start that?
Vintage Creations is really special to me as well because I love sustainable fashion. I think what's cool is when you start something, it always evolves. So even with Stoic Los Angeles over time, I always started with quality materials, but then I never wanted to make anything in bulk and just
Yeah.
increase waste, all those things. So I always did produce like smaller collections or short limited time collections, started moving into garments that were very sustainable, were maybe going to be tossed away, that maybe like there was a hole or whatever. I would like put a message on those and put those out. I did a collection where I did thrifted button ups and I put my logo on. And so very sustainable collections for Stoic Los Angeles. And then moving into Vintage Creations, I knew I wanted to do something in that space where it's a social studio where guests come and they make a one-of-one piece of clothing, but they don't need to know how to sew because
Oh,
I know sewing is, I think it's awesome if people have the time to learn, but it is a tedious hobby or profession that does take time. So people to be able to come, socialize, have a great time, and then make creative direct a piece of clothing, but all from sustainable materials. So
wow. That's
yeah,
awesome. I think it's really cool that you just said that, like, you don't need to know how to sew. You
yeah.
can still be creative. And so, really, what sparks your own creativity when you think about these pieces that you've made?
What sparks my own creativity is just the freedom to create something and then able to rock it and just be different and unique. I feel like there's a lot of customization things with whether it be bracelets or whatever that people want to be unique. People want a touch of their own story on what they're wearing, right? So being able to do that and create that space for people to make what they're wearing their own and um just give it more meaning and a personalized meaning. So that's kind of what I love. And I feel like fashion to me isn't I'm not just throwing on a fit, but it always there's always like, oh, I love these shoes because I got them in Germany when I was, on trial somewhere, trying out for this team, and I bought them in Germany. Something like that. Like I have specific pieces of clothing that mean so much to me. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was traveling recently and I know you were traveling as well. And I think something that's important to me is bringing things from that place to my friends, to people I love. And, it's like, yeah, that bracelet or something could be anywhere in the world. Like it could be, a bulk um, product, but it's a lot more meaningful because it is from this place
Yep,
and from this community. And I think that's special. Um,
exactly.
so I love that you mentioned that. I want to talk more about identity and the challenges, not just through your athletic career, but also business as well. What has helped you stay mentally resilient through those highs and lows of your career?
So my soccer career has definitely prepared me for being an entrepreneur 1,000%. There are so many similarities in the sense of like, I'm talented, I have this talent, I have to work towards this talent, and I have to either wait for someone to pick me up or I'm on a team and I need to continue producing. Like all those lessons go into entrepreneurship. So I've had to, you produce a collection with Stoic Los Angeles, and it doesn't do as well as you think, or it does amazing. You can't get too high or too low. You have to keep creating and keep believing in why you started it, right? And that's very similar to soccer. And with Vintyj Kreations, starting like a new thing, I just apply those same principles. And yeah, it's definitely not always easy, but soccer has taught me to, like, the self-belief that I have in myself is like it I have a lot of self-belief, and I have that resilience and that endurance because of soccer.
Were there any moments that challenged you mentally and changed your perspective on soccer or just life in general?
For sure. I definitely had to always be on my toes when I was on teams in the NWSL. I didn't have the rights to keep the contracts a certain amount of time. Like, you could be cut at any point, just being real. So with that being the reality, I was always ready for anything. I knew I had to show up and be my best, but sometimes that isn't enough, right? And so being able to relocate to different parts of the states or the country at that, um, it did take away part of soccer just being soccer, showing up and playing your best and thinking that's enough. That's just it that had to change a little bit for me. Um, and I don't know, I just think being able to relocate, being able to endure all those things maybe that I didn't deal with earlier in my career, I had to now deal with in the pros. And it definitely kind of changed the relationship that I've had with soccer. Always loved the game at its core, but starting to experience other factors within the game in my professional career that I had to be ready for, honestly.
Yeah, and I think you've kind of said that um you've had to adapt a lot. And so I
Mm,
can't imagine how difficult that is to learn. But it's probably something that you can get used to as well. But it's scary what you just
mm,
said, like you never know what's going to happen. And I think that's
yeah,
the reality of it, that a lot of viewers and fans, we don't always see that. Um,
yeah,
so I'm glad you mentioned that. And during those hard times, what does taking care of yourself look like?
yeah. So dealing with the uncertainty and everything that was going on throughout the last 11 years, I would say I definitely always tapped into my faith. My faith in God has been huge for me. I am a big reader. I love, like, the books, the mental side of the game I really tapped into throughout my career that I didn't have to earlier on, because if I wasn't feeling my best, or if a factor outside of just the game was brought on to me out of nowhere, I had to really tap into my mental. I had to be able to control my mind. So the mental side of the game became huge, but definitely my faith, reading, and just tapping into my other passions,
Mhm.
because then I made sure that soccer didn't become my identity.
Yeah.
And if it was not being kind to me, I didn't completely just think I was, failing at life. And so my other passions, and fashion being the main one, saved me and allowed me to still be creative and still see the value and the talents in myself beyond just, my soccer career.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have those other passions, even if
Yeah.
you're not just playing a sport. It's like, oh, you and your job. Like it's good to have
Yeah.
those other things. I want to know what's a good book that you would recommend.
Ooh, I have a top three.
Ooh, okay.
So the main one would be Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I love that book. And then The Power of Now,
Hmm.
and then Untethered Soul. Those
Oh,
are like my three top
wow.
books that, like, changed my life. And I do reread those ones too. So
Really?
yeah, I'm like a big rereader. It takes me forever to get through different book, different like
Oh,
other new books because I'm rereading the ones that I love. But yeah.
oh, I love that though. I do think, yeah, for me, I feel like I have a hard time focusing and reading. So yeah, rereading is definitely really important because it's like you never know what you can miss. Same with like watching a show or a movie. It's like, oh.
Right. Literally. And what do you have a book for me to read, maybe?
Right now I am reading The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Have
Oh
you heard of
my
that?
gosh, I have it. So I
You
need,
do?
this is a sign I need to
This
read
is a
it.
sign. This is a sign.
Okay. Okay.
I do think it's really interesting. It's her theory, but I
Mm,
like how she kind of talks about it in everyday life. So,
yeah.
I think even I'm sure you might think this as well, but when I can relate to something, I that's like okay, I love it. Like
1,000%.
something that, connects with me. And I think having books like that is really important. And I love that you brought up those books too, is because I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who likes, like, I call it like self-help books.
Yeah.
I feel
Self-help
like
books.
they
Yep.
help me. And so it's nice to find other people who appreciate those books as well. Because
Right. I'm like, am I boring? I'm sorry. Because
no,
everyone's into these, like
I
some of my, me
know.
and some of my best friends, we laugh because they like the like magic books and everything. And I'm
Yes,
like,
the
I'm so,
fantasy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I unfortunately have a hard time getting into those. But I'll keep trying, but I do
I
love
know.
my self-help books.
Right. Me too.
Okay, so I want to know, what have you learned about yourself through business and entrepreneurship?
I have learned because it's an ongoing journey
Yes.
that I have some good ideas and I'm creative. Like I think that what stops people from entrepreneurship is actually believing that they have a good idea or that they
Mm,
can bring it to life, right? I think that having the idea is one step up along entrepreneurship, but I just truly believe I'm creative. I believe I have some good ideas, and that is what leads me to take the steps and take the plan of action to make them become reality.
yeah. And I think, yeah, creativity is big, and I think I don't know. I get this a lot where people will tell me like, "Oh, I'm not creative. I
Mm,
can't draw really well.
mhm.
I'm a bad artist," or I just don't have ideas. And sometimes I think that about myself too, where I'm like, yeah, I'm not good at drawing, or I have a hard time when
Mm,
creating ideas. But
mm.
that doesn't mean that you're not creative. And so I
Right.
want to know, what is your advice for those individuals who kind of have that self-doubt in terms of creativity?
Right. I think it's knowing your strengths and just knowing that you don't have to be good at everything. Like you can have that thing that you're good at and go with it. Like I could do some bubble letters, but I can't draw, okay? And I've tried, I can't sing, I can't do those things. And not saying that I can't try to learn, but I do know my strengths and the ones that I really want to tap into and go for it with. Fashion has always been something for me where I actually found it not I didn't find it later in life because it's always been a part of my journey. My mom loves fashion, my dad loves fashion, but my mom specifically has had kind of like a archive closet with pieces that like a bag that she's had when she was 21, like she handed it down to me like a Gucci bag. So it was really nice pieces and um so it was always a passion for me. But then I realized that, oh, I do have like the eye and I am a tastemaker with fashion and I believe that and I tapped into that. I might not be able to do those other things, but I realized that, oh, this is a talent of mine and I'm gonna pursue it and I can do it. So you don't have to do everything is my advice, but what you maybe it's a passion or maybe it's something that you're just really good at, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think being in college now, I've been excited to be trying new things. Like I
Mm,
bought like just a notebook so I can draw. So just
Yeah.
trying to draw, and it's definitely hard to, put my pen to paper and start because I'm like, oh no, I don't want to mess up. Like,
Right. Right. No, I know.
but
But
it's helpful. It's definitely something that helps me step out of my own comfort zone.
for
So
sure.
it's it's definitely a cool journey.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that just it doesn't have to always have been a passion
Right.
or an interest because you can try something new and actually be really good at it. But
Yeah.
I think the main thing is like once you realize like you are like good at that thing or and you want to maybe try building something or you can just go like you have to believe and go for it, right? So trying new things is amazing. But I think at some point someone people have that epiphany like, "Oh, wait, I am good at this." And then knocking out the self-doubt right after that thought of, "I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I can do something with it," you know, or something like that. So,
And I think now with like social media, it can be hard where it's like
mm,
sometimes there's like negative comments or you're on, the wrong side of social media that's doing the opposite of motivating you.
mm,
I want to know, how do you overcome those types of pressures? It doesn't just have to be social media, but maybe it's your parents or it's your friends or, just random strangers that are kind of, is it discouraging you, um,
yeah.
really pursue your strengths?
Yeah. I think social media is a good one to bring up because it's just so prominent right now. I think there's a couple things you can do to make your social media for you, which is like make curating your explore page to things you want to see, number one. Mine's like fashion, French bulldogs, and like food. Like it's like those things that I look at that just light me up, right? And then every post that I'm doing, I want it to be authentic to myself.
Mm.
For me, if I'm posting with a brand or something, it's something that I align with and just making sure it is for me. I'm not doing it for people or for certain likes. I know for different collabs you have to get engagement, this and that, but things that are authentic to me is what I'm posting about. And because I think when you start making it about everyone else, then you're
Yep.
competing, you're disappointed when you don't get this many likes or something. Not saying I've never struggled with any of that, but I'm saying these are the things that I've learned over the years and being on social media for a long time. So dealing with the discouraging things. I'm not on social media, even if I have like a goal of like posting a certain amount, I'm not on it all day. I like love like with self-help books, etc., how we were talking about controlling my mind, and a way of doing that is just not seeing everything. But on the other side of things, I've always journaled. So whenever I'm on a team, I'm journaling and I'm making sure like my mind is intact. And then even if I'm like not on a team and it's a period where I'm looking for one and it's like a dead period, I like to call it, I'm staying focused. I'm yeah, less social media, more journaling, reading, spending time with my friends and family, like going to coffee shops, like doing the things that I love. And that keeps me like on a one track mind of what I'm trying to accomplish and less, you know, less intake of the outside voices for sure.
Yeah. So how do you make those things a habit? Because I do find it hard when you're not used to journaling or,
Mm,
you're so used to scrolling. Like, how do you um create those good habits?
yeah. So I love the talk about habits because I'm someone who, for example, like I will make my like my bed every single morning, like certain things like or I have like a certain, routine. But
Yeah.
if it's not something that you are like used to doing, I think trying to create like a streak of days that you are doing it and over time it'll just become something that you do or you'll like become like familiar to that feeling of doing it that amount of days in a row. So, yeah, like set a goal like I'm going to journal for a week or 2 weeks straight, and after those 2 weeks like it's going to become something that you take interest in, and if not, like you did it for 2 weeks and it's kind of going to become like part of your schedule maybe. So
Yeah.
that's what works for me.
Yeah, I love that. I want to go more now into like representation. You brought up how you grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood and then how Florida State became
Mm,
something that was, I guess, different for you in terms of diversity. And I know you serve on the board of the Black Women's Player
mm.
Collective.
Yes.
Why is creating opportunities and representation for women in sports,
Yes.
people, women of color in sports, you know, those communities, why is that so important to you?
Yeah, it's so important because growing up, I definitely I guess I've had always been searching for that. Growing up in this area, predominantly white area, I always looked up to Serena and Venus. Those were like my people growing up. And even though I know I was playing soccer as well, and you had Brianna Scurry on the national team, I can remember that was one of the ones where I was like, okay, I see myself and I can do it. But I definitely could have benefited from either a mentor or way more resources on women of color that are in sports,
Mhm.
even like in business, who I could look up to, right? So knowing that and being in this position now, I'm like, I have to use this opportunity to create that for the younger girls. I would definitely want them to have more people to look up to and resources to tap into.
Yeah, and have you seen progress regarding this, like women's in sports, black women in sports, and even in the fashion industry? I think that's definitely another field that could have more recognition. So have you seen much progress during your career?
I would say, for example, with the Black Women's Players Collective, that is progress because it's something that hadn't existed. And I'm still searching for, I'm always like looking for women of color in Black women as well in business, like Emma Grede. I'm like I've been to a couple of her events. I got an opportunity to meet her. Um, those type of things when you meet those people or you're consuming their content and like Black Women's Players Collective, I got on the board of that and has have been involved in that. It does feel like progress when you're involved in it and you're looking for it but of course it's even struggles I still have with in sport and being a Black woman in sport and in business, and you feel those challenges every day. So it does feel like progress when you're involved and you choose to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but at the end of the day, there is a reality that it is still a struggle and it'll be a struggle, but I think the resources are important and pushing forward is important. Pushing forward is important.
Yeah. So you brought up lack of representation and then resources. Are there um, any other specific challenges that you faced yourself during your career?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of time I didn't have conversations outside of race, uh, except with my family, right? So when I was put in positions, whether it be on a team that I was on, specifically in Houston when all the everything was going on with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, the riots, everything. There were so many conversations happening, and it was unfamiliar, right? So for me, that made me realize that this is still a struggle, that there needs to be more conversation around this, more education, and it's something that should be spoken about, but there also should be a safe space for Black women athletes, women of color to have these conversations, to be able to report if something was, said to them that wasn't right. And so safe places and resources, all those things need to come together in order to keep the progress going in women's sports and business as well.
Yeah. I want to know what advice would you give to young girls who want to pursue athletics professionally?
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna say go for it because sports have changed my life. I love I wouldn't be who I am without sport. It from an early age, it's taught me to like, the habits we were talking about, the discipline, who I am to my core is because of sports. And so I would definitely say go for it. It's gotten me to where I am today. But at the same time, it is a grind and you do have to take care of your mind because it's at some point at different times for different people, sometimes it stops becoming about the sport and you need to make sure you love your mind and can take care of it and can always see your value for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Uh, so looking ahead, what are some things you are excited about that you are working on? It could be for yourself, for your sport, for business.
Yeah. So it's always like a joke with my family or my friends as well. They're like, you're always everywhere. And I'm just like, I'm always ready for any opportunity. Like, I've been tapping into some public speaking. And so I love that. I actually went to Vancouver recently to do that. I've always been tapped into the social media side, but I'm just really excited about entrepreneurship and where that's taking me, the businesses that I'm building. And obviously, I have to mention soccer, just wherever that sport has taken me and will continue to take me. I'm excited for and open for any opportunity. So from soccer to business, public speaking, I'm I've been blessed with the journey I've had so far, and I'm excited to continue on this road.
Yeah, you are truly incredible. I think, I mean, I don't know how else to describe you besides unique, because
Mm,
there is truly no one like you, and I love the difference that you are making, for yourself and for the sports community, the fashion community, and women in general. So it's amazing to hear what you're saying, and to also for me to share is that there are probably so many young girls and so many, people who are looking up to you and who can
thank you.
really relate to your story. So I just want to thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, don't make me cry. I'm a crier. But thank you for that. And I want to thank you for this space.
Oh, yeah.
I just love being able, like without platforms like this, like getting our stories out would be hard. So
Right.
thankful for this space and giving me the opportunity to share.
Yeah, of course. I do want to ask, with you, sharing your story and your journey
Yeah.
and your experiences, what's one message you hope listeners take away?
One message is your journey is just, it's not linear. Take the ups and downs, take wherever the detour may be, and um, just continue believing that there is light at the end of the tunnel. That, like we mentioned earlier, you're right where you're supposed to be. I'm a big believer in that, and the ups and downs are part of it. And it's leading you somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. Going off of that, I ask all of my guests this question, but
Hmm.
what matters most to you? The destination, the journey, or the company, and why?
Mm, I would say the journey because the journey's on the way to. Sorry, that took me a long time to come
It's
up
okay.
with that. I was
It's a heavy
thinking,
question. Yeah.
yeah. The journey is what's taking you to the destination, and the company you meet is along the journey. So I value all three, but the journey is definitely the 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 base and the root of getting to either or meeting company and getting to the destination. So
Right. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Jamia, for joining me on the Mental Playbook. To my listeners, mind strong, game on.
thank you.